Hello everyone and welcome to my very first YouTube video. My name is Alicia. I am 24, living in South Florida. I have been living in South Florida my entire life. I do not work in the food service industry at this moment, but I have several times in the past. I actually used to go to a technical program for culinary, so that kind of sparked my interest back when I was in high school, and then I worked in a lot of restaurants since then. When I met my wife about 6 years ago, we did start a tradition of baking every year for Christmas, and we have been baking ever since. This year is the first time that we actually got a KitchenAid, so I'm so excited about that. And with all the things that I have been trying recently, and with all the different recipes that I've gained over the last couple of years, I just wanted to start sharing it with you guys. So I've got my butter and sugar in there. Next I'm gonna add in eggs. So it wants me to add the eggs one at a time. I'm assuming just to give it a little bit of moisture and not to overmix. One egg at a time. I apologize in advance for my silly songs that I make up in the kitchen. I just can't help it sometimes. You're mixing something and it just makes sense. See a huge glob of butter, so I'm going to scoop that out real quick. Butter is not interested in mixing. Just kidding, guys. Quick Google search and apparently that sound is normal. So let's get to mixing. I've got all my eggs in. It's turning into a much creamier mixture at this point. So next I need 1 teaspoon of coconut extract. I'm going to throw that right into the bowl. Oh, it smells heavenly. Using some open rum spiced rum. It's actually from St. Petersburg, Florida, so not too far out from where I am now currently. I'm going to measure out 3/4 cup of this. Alright. Milk mixture right here, and I've got my flour mixture here, and now I need to start alternatively adding these to the batter. So I'm just going to give a quick whisk to my flour mixture. If my whisker's brown. And that way I can alternatively add these to the KitchenAid and allow it to do its thing. So let's add a little bit of the flour first, because that's always the more challenging of the two. I'm just going to slow it down a little bit so that it doesn't make a huge mess, because if any of you have added flour to a really high-speed electric mixer, I'm sure you guys have gotten the face full of flour. The side of my fridge looked quite questionable after the whole baking season, so I am very careful when I'm adding stuff along those lines. This cake can get very dry very fast, so it's important to alternate between both of them. Otherwise you turn into more of a dough versus a cake batter. Here we are. for liquid. You will be in the splash zone. It's not a fun place to be. While I'm doing all this, I'm just going to get my oven preheating to 325. That way, by the time that this is all mixed together, it should be ready to go. My oven's pretty quick about getting preheated, so don't necessarily need to do that way in advance. But you guys will all know your oven's a lot better, so feel free to start it whenever you guys are ready. It's turning out so good. I'm going to give you guys a little sneak peek of how the batter is looking. Now when it cooks, it's going to be like a light brown, almost, it does have a tinge of red to it, but not until you really get it soaking in the rum does it really get that nice rich redness to it. So I really appreciate that. I don't use any food coloring or anything like that with this mix. I just use regular natural colorings within the rum, and everything else is actually pretty clear. So otherwise it would be like a normal yellow cake batter mix because you include the yolk, so it does get that little bit of yellowness to it. What are your guys' favorite things to bake? Please comment in below and let me know. Hit a like if you want me to bake something new. I'm really looking forward to making some cookies, and I've been tasked with trying to make eclairs because my wife says that if I can make pâte à choux and I can make chantilly cream, then I can make anything. So we'll see how well that goes. That'll be one of my next videos, but I think, I don't know, I may want to take the challenge on of bread first. We shall see. I hope one day that I can make it to a baking and pastry school. That's my eventual goal, but as of right now, it's just not in the cards for me. So here I am making videos for you guys in the meantime. This alternation process should take maybe 15 to 20 minutes at the most. It really depends on how little or a lot you add at the time. I usually try to add like no more than a quarter of a cup of each at the time, so it does take me a little bit longer. But I feel like patience is key when it comes to baking cakes and getting the right ratio. So I'll allow it anytime it needs. Every once in a while you will have to stomp and scrape the wall just to make sure that you're getting the right mix. Because as of right now, I got a lot of flour on the walls of my mixing bowl, and you just want to make sure that gets all nice and inside. Otherwise, you end up with clumps, and nobody likes that in a finished product. Maybe they do. Maybe I shouldn't speak for you guys. Tell me below. Do you like clumps in your finished product? I'll admit I was wrong if that's the case. I'm coming to the end of the flour mixture that I have here, but I still have quite a bit of liquid. I just added some flour, so I'm going to throw in a good bit of liquid to really balance it out right now. If you find at any point when you're trying to be adding these evenly that you have more of one than the other, just try to balance it out before you get much further, and that way makes it a lot easier on you in the end. You're not sitting there trying to add a bunch of liquid to the end product and it's splashing all over and it's not cooperating. I find it much easier to just nip that in the bud. I'm currently from South Florida, born and raised. I've been here 24 years now. I've traveled throughout the United States as well as into Canada and down into the Bahamas. As a Florida girl, you tend to go down there on cruises and stuff like that every once in a while. I'm really looking forward to moving out of the state of Florida at some point because I think that that'll be a really nice adventure. And there's a lot of really awesome schools that are outside of the state of Florida for culinary. Although my wife did attend Johnson & Wales for culinary, so she finds it quite funny that I'm looking to go back for baking and pastry arts 6 years into, you know. But here we are. Honestly, I don't regret a thing though, because I feel like her skills and my passion for this over time, you know, wouldn't be where it is right now if I didn't take the path that I did. So I'm really grateful that I took my time. It's just going to be a bit of a challenge getting back into the groove of things, especially school, because working full time makes it very challenging to go back to school. I'm sure I'll figure that out though. If you guys are working full time and getting ready to go back to school, or are currently going back to school, I'd love to hear about your stories. Please comment down below and let me know what your schedule looks like, or maybe how you balance things, tips and tricks for somebody who's getting ready to go back. Much appreciated. I'd love to hear from you guys. I'm just wrapping up the rest of this dough here, this batter. And if there's one thing I've learned, if you didn't make a mess in the kitchen, you didn't do it right. Just kidding. You can totally clean as you go. I know. And just like that, as my batter is finished up, my oven is ready to go. So that's perfect timing, guys. Alright. Give my counter a quick wipe while the batter finishes mixing. And I'm gonna grab my bundt pan. So I absolutely love making bundt cakes. Actually, I think I'm gonna hold off on making it like this and use my mini bundt pans today. With my mini bundt pans, it's really, really important that you use both flour and butter. And luckily, Pam has come out with this wonderful baking. It's actually got flour in it already, which makes it so easy. It's really, really difficult sometimes to get the even coating of flour over top of every little crevice, especially when you're using bundt pans, because it's got those tiny little crevices everywhere, and these miniature ones really take it to the next level with the tiny little crevices. So I absolutely love having the spray that already has the flour in it. So well greased is the way to go. So now that we've got this all mixed and ready to go, I'm just going to lower the bowl. So just to give you guys a little peek, this is what the finalized batter is looking like. And this is my prepped miniature bundt pan ready to go. So I'm just going to start scooping some of the batter into the bundt pan and get this measured out. I have a feeling it's going to be about 1/8 of a cup per each little bundt pan. So I'm going to start there and see where that gets. Got handy dandy 1/8 of a cup measure ready to go. Scoop it out little by little. It's going to drip off the sides, so I recommend just bringing the pan to you. You don't need to fill this up all the way. This is going to grow. It is going to rise, so I wouldn't necessarily fill the pan all the way up to the top and then try to bake it, because then you're just going to have these round little bottoms that are kind of hard for you to set your cakes down. So if you can, just avoid filling it all the way up to the top. It's my recommendation. Now the timing on this is going to be a lot different than if you were to put it in a regular bundt pan. When I use this miniature bundt pan, I usually try not to go past about the 14-minute mark. Most batters cook within that time frame, even if it's like an hour for the whole cake. Usually it's about 14-15 minutes before it's done here. At most I've had to go to like 18, but That's usually because I've overfilled the pan, not because it's actually 18 minutes to cook a normal sized miniature bunt. And all these recommendations I'm making, you know, it's not because I've gone to school for them. It's not because I am extremely well versed in what I'm doing. Honestly, I'm learning alongside you guys. I really don't know exactly what I'm doing all the time, but I have made many mistakes. I've made many baking errors and had to throw out many a finished product that didn't turn out the way that I was hoping. So if you can learn a little bit from my mistakes, I'd always love that. But you know, it's fair. If you guys want to make your own mistakes, you do your thing. I had to make my own too. I didn't listen. But here I am today, trying to make you guys miniature bunt rum cakes. So I'm thinking this is going to make about 2 dozen. I only have one of these miniature bunt pans, so I'm going to pop these in now, and then we'll make the next batch here in a few minutes. Okay, so now that I've got my bunt pans filled with all the little cakes, I'm going to pop these into the oven at 325. I'm going to set a timer for 7 minutes and then another timer for 6 minutes and see where I'm at about the 13-minute mark. If it comes clean with a toothpick, then I may pull it out. If it's not, I may give it a few more minutes. So I'll check in with you then. All right, y'all, it's time to turn them around. Let's take a sneak peek at what they look like. You can see they're already starting to pop out. I don't know how close you guys can see it, but they're starting to look phenomenal. Super excited. Okay, everyone, here's the moment we've been waiting for. Our first batch of rum cakes are gonna come out of the oven. Let's check them and see where they're at. I've had them in for about 13 minutes now. Oof. Definitely looks like they are done and ready to go. They have beautiful crispy edges. Oh, I'm so excited. Just gonna check them with one quick toothpick, make sure. Let's see, we've got to find the tallest one to check. I'm gonna say that's this guy right here. Pop this toothpick in and it came out clean. So these are done. I'm gonna say 13 minutes is our magic number, so we'll do 7 minutes and then 6 minutes and then let it go. But for now, we have to let these cool, otherwise I cannot get them out of the pan. So I'm just gonna let them cool for about 15 minutes or so, and then I'll get right back to you as I put the next batch in. Now, after this, we do have to make the syrup that soaks into this. So as I am waiting, I'll start prepping those ingredients for you, and that way we can make the syrup together next. All right, so first batch is out of the oven and out of the pan. The pan is clean and ready for me to prep for the next one. Look at how cute these little guys are. I mean, they're just so adorable. They've got the nice little peaks on them. Some of them are a little smaller than the others. I guess I didn't quite get the 1/8 cup exactly where it needed to be, but that's okay because I was smart and I wanted to make sure that I could bake something else afterwards. So I've cleaned out my cup and I've placed my batter in here. So I'm just gonna prep this pan. There was a couple of sticky ones who lost a little bit of their corners, so I am going to really thoroughly make sure I get it covered this time. I'm sorry that I didn't quite do it quite right last time, but that's okay. We're gonna get it right this time. And this is what I'm talking about trial and error. You are going to make mistakes when you are baking. It is just how it goes, but that's okay, because if you don't make mistakes, how are you going to know how to do it better next time? So don't stress. We've got this. I'm going to spray this pan down. Very well greased this time. Just still using the 1/8 scoop to try to get it in there for the most part. We'll top it off if one of them or two of them are looking a little lower than they should be. Really helps when you get batter everywhere. I am not in any way, shape, or form claiming to be a professional at this point in time. I'm hoping at one point to be, but right now I am just a home baker. Making it work with what I've got. You know, I've learned a lot of things over the years. I've been baking for Christmas and the holidays for a couple of years now, and I really enjoy doing it, so that's why I kind of got into this area, I guess you could say, and I really enjoy it, but I'm definitely not quite there yet. I'm really hoping that I am at some point, but we'll see. We'll see. Just gonna clean up a little bit of the mess that I made on here. I know you guys are having a hard time seeing, but that's okay. So here's what I've got filled so far. I just spilled a bit right there, so I just want to make sure that it looks nice and clean while it's baking. Also makes it easier to clean up later, because once it gets baked on, it's much more difficult to get it off the pan. Just a pain in the neck. So 13 was our magic number last time. We're gonna do the timer for the same 13 minutes this time. It does look a little uneven, so I'm gonna top off a couple of these guys. This one actually didn't rise as bad as I thought it was going to be. The chocolate cakes rose a lot higher. It did rise quite heavily in the big bundt pan, but I'm sure that, you know, it looked a lot more than it actually was. And when it cools down, it does kind of go back a little bit. So I just want to make sure that I'm getting enough in here that it gives you the look of an actual little bundt cake. Let's see, we've got this one here, this guy right here. Let's do this. Okay, Google, set a timer for 6 minutes.
All right, 6 minutes. And we're starting now.
And in the oven they go. Hi everyone, I changed my shirt because I was doing dishes and I ruined it a bit. So here I am. I'm just going to flip out these next bundt cakes and see if I can get them to come out as easily as the last batch. These ones did fill out a lot more, so they're not like pulling off the edges like the last batch, so we'll see what happens. But I did coat the pan a lot better. So we'll see. Here we are, moment of truth. Oh, yes! All of them came out beautifully. So the trick with these is definitely going to be a well-greased pan. I'm so happy with how this batch came out. I'm really looking forward to the next batch. They've got this beautiful little ring around the bottom where the edge of the pan meets the edge of the cake, and I'll show you just in a moment here. Look at this. I'm just so, I absolutely love these little cakes. I know it sounds so silly. I'm actually not a huge rum cake fan, but I love the way that these cakes look. Like, they're just so gorgeous. Like, look at the little rings at the bottom of each of them. They've just got this beautiful little ring. So right now we've got 2 dozen of these. We're looking to make another dozen right now. So I'm going to fill the pan after I give it a quick wash. And here we go. Alright, so I've got 1/2 cup of water, 1/2 cup of sugar, and 1 full stick of butter into this pot right here. I have 1/2 cup of amber rum measured out. I need 1 dash of salt and 1 teaspoon of coconut extract. So I'm just going to add a little bit of salt in there. The first step is to just get all of this heating up, so I'm going to put it on a medium heat and just let it slowly melt. And once it's been removed from the heat, then we're going to add the rum and the coconut extract. So just to save some time, I'm going to add the 1 teaspoon into the cup of coconut extract, or into the cup of amber rum, because it doesn't necessarily need to be separate or anything like that. One of the ways that I find is easiest to save time and save dishes in the kitchen is to measure things into the same cup if possible. Ideally, you want to make sure your measurements are as accurate as possible. So if you're doing this, that's 100% fine, but don't lose track of where you're supposed to be, because that can very quickly happen when you're adding multiple ingredients into the same cup. This coconut extract smells absolutely heavenly. It doesn't matter what you add to it. It's just like a pina colada on the beach. So I'm really excited for these miniature bundt cakes. They're already looking adorable, and they're going to be so delicious once they've got the syrup added to it. I really hope you guys are enjoying as well. Just waiting for this butter to melt here. So we've got, we've got the butter in the pan melting. I've got my other sticks of butter ready to go out. I'm not really sure what I'm going to bake with that yet. And then I've got my delicious little cakes over here. There are some in the oven as well. Let's see if you guys can take a little peek in here as they're baking. Nope, all you really see is me, but that's okay. So they look really snazzy in there. All right, so I've lowered you guys a little bit just so you can see a little bit of what I'm doing. As of right now, I'm moving my little bundt cakes off of the cooling rack and onto a large sheet pan. I figured this would be the best way to coat them all in the delicious, delicious rum syrup, and that way they will sit overnight on this baking pan, cool down, and turn into the delicious little rum cakes that they are. They're already really delicious as they are. They've got like this beautiful butteriness to them. I almost want to describe them like a pound cake with rum, because it's just how beautiful they come out. Now, I have not necessarily made pound cake in the past, but if you buy a pound cake from the store, or if you've ever bought a pound cake from the store, I'm sure you can see what I mean when you look at these guys. They're just these little delicious rum cakes of the day. So here we are. This is my tray of rum cakes. I've got my syrup right here. I'm just going to give it another little mix because it has been coat. There are little like rivets in the top, so I'm hoping that just a little bit of the syrup hangs out on top of there and graces the presence of the bundt cake. Luckily, these bottoms will be really where the rum soaks in, and over the next 24 hours I'll probably be moving them around just enough to make sure that the liquid on the bottom of the pan has gotten a chance to meet all of the beautiful little rum cakes. It's already starting to course down towards me. If you hear the dripping water in the background, I actually have a fish tank behind me, so I'm really sorry if that's something you guys can overhear. I can already see the cakes just like taking in all of this delicious syrup. Like as you pour it over the top, it just soaks right into the cake, which is exactly what we're looking for, and that's why we go for these cakes. And that's why I try to let them cool as long as I do, because I want to make sure that they have enough time to turn into that beautiful finished product. So here we are. You can see like it's sitting in a little bit of this syrup, and that's 100% okay. It actually is shiny when you look at it, but man, it just comes out so beautiful when it's all said and done. So this is pretty much the finished product. It is going to take a good 12 hours to cool and let that rum cake really soak. But other than that, this is how it's going to look. Let me know what you guys think. This is my very first YouTube video, so I'm a little nervous to post this, but I'm really excited to hear your guys' comments. And if you guys have any requests, I would love to hear them, because I want to make sure that it's enjoyable for you guys as well. I know that I have a good time baking, but I have a good time baking anyway. So if you guys would like to see me make cookies or cakes or bread, or if you want to challenge me like my wife wants to challenge me and watch me make pâte à choux, I'm 100% in. Just let me know what you guys are interested in the comments down below, and I will be sure to include that in the next video. So for right now, this is all I've got for you guys. I will take one final photo when these are all said and done tomorrow, but I think that's it. So thank you guys for coming to see me. I really appreciate it. I hope everything went the way that you guys were hoping as well. That's all. Have a good one. Bye!